Welcome to Business Class. I'm Steve Ekstrom from Learn Tourism, a nonprofit academy dedicated to advancing the tourism industry through innovative training and sustainable practices. Our mission? To empower travel professionals and communities with the knowledge they need to create meaningful, authentic, and sustainable tourism experiences. Ready to join us on this journey? Visit learntourism.org and start making a difference today. This morning, talking with Jeff Schwartzenberg from the Outer Banks. When we started our Zoom chat, Jeff's nameplate said Caitlin. So that's how we kicked off our chat. Take a listen. Right.
Hey, Stephen,
Want to say good morning, Caitlin.
this is not Caitlin, I promise you. Caitlin is a 14-year-old daughter who is a competitive golfer, and she was on a golf webinar recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I have one daughter. She keeps us certainly busy, and my wife and I admire folks that have multiples because I don't know how people 2, 3, 4 schedules that you're trying to juggle. We have enough trouble with one.
So I have my 14-year-old niece who's with me full time. And I'm in a motorhome. So I travel all over North America. So this year we've got her enrolled in an online curriculum with an experiential component. So everything that she learns online, we actually do stuff while traveling. So
That's
we're going to learn
phenomenal.
about fossils and strata. We're going to go to the Grand Canyon and we're going to go to a fossil dig. And we learned about aquifers and ecosystems. So we went swimming with the manatees and it's pretty cool.
That's
also-
okay. Yeah, it's a great age. I mean, gosh, my daughter just finished driver's ed, which is pretty scary to think on many levels.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So in North Carolina, I'm on the Outer Banks in Kitty Hawk. They can take driver's ed when they're at 14 and a half. And then at 15, they can get their learner's permit. And at 16, they can get their license. So the reality has certainly more than set in of what we're in store for. And I'm originally from the New York City area, so I'm used to taking public transportation. And I was actually texting with a buddy of mine just to see how he fared in the storm yesterday in New York. He was asking how Caitlin's doing. I'm like, man, she just finished driver's ed and it's pretty scary. And his wife, his oldest daughter, she's 17. She hasn't even gotten behind a wheel yet because she doesn't no need to. She takes the subway. She walks to school or takes the subway. He said she'll learn this summer, but yeah, that reality certainly has kicked in for sure.
Yeah, we had that conversation here. And I'm like, are you kidding? I've seen you play Mario Kart. Like, this is not a good sign.
Yeah. My daughter has good reflexes, so hopefully, and she's a conscientious person. It's funny now she's taking driver's ed and I've got to now be extra cautious because she's watching my every move now. She knows and has learned some of the do's and don'ts. And it's like, all right, her eyes are, she's called me out on a few things. She's like, Dad, when you're turning right, shouldn't you turn into the right lane and not, into the, yeah, it's real now. So
Thanks for that, kid.
well, yeah, keeps just like everything else, man. She keeps me on my toes. So
Yeah.
where are you right now? Like in
So
your,
we are in Florida. My sister is getting married on Friday in Sarasota. And then we drive up the East Coast. We're making stops in Beaufort and Wilmington. And then we have a conference in Richmond, Virginia.
yeah, I wish I could attend that. I know you've worked with some of my compadres out in Lake Tahoe and Obispo, launching their hospitality training platform. I've been gathering information, and Nettie Pardue from Lake
I
Tahoe,
love Nettie. She's great.
and Whitney Cheney out in San Luis Obispo. We've kind of formed a peer group of folks that are in similar positions to ours,
Yep.
which started at literally like 2 or 3 of us, and now it's grown to like 15 of us. So it's been supportive, collaborative, and they've talked about the partnership with you guys. So far, they've been impressed.
Our background story is that we attended years of tourism training and education, and most of it sucked. And we set about figuring out why it sucked. My co-founder, Sheena, has her master's in education in adult learning and instructional design with her bachelor's in organizational psychology. So we take all of that science and data and we'd apply it to what we're building for programming for people and for organizations so that they have their own training programs that meet their specific needs, that they can edit, and they can adjust, and they can modify, and they can manage, and they can have access to the data. And whether that's for tourism ambassadors or it's for staff, professional development, or partner training, or training travel agents and advisors, the way that it can be applied is up to the partner organization, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of my favorite quotes is do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better.
Love it.
And yeah, we get better. We get better every day in what we do, which is cool. But we also work with now 60 destinations.
That's great. Yeah, I took a look. I lived in Nashville prior to moving to the Outer Banks. So I saw Nashville, CBC's on there, and I've got some great friends that I worked with in my time in Nashville. I didn't work for the, visitors group there, but
we
Nashville
have
Predators and Country Music Hall of Fame, I worked really closely with them on a lot of stuff. So we stay in touch, and I saw their logo on your site recently. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Some great partnerships.
So yeah, it's fun. And then being a nomad, I get to drop pins in the map and visit folks when I'm out.
That's great. So you're truly do you have a home base, or your home base is currently where you're sitting?
My sister's address is on my license.
How long have you been traveling like that?
It's been 4 years.
Wow.
I was talking to Patrick Taylor, the CEO of Visit Buffalo, yesterday. And I said, Patrick, when I started this out, my thought was, I'm just going to go try out all of these places to figure out where I want to live. The longer I do it, the longer I don't want to live in any one place.
It looks like a pretty solid setup.
Yeah, it's a pretty fancy RV. I started out with a van, like a Sprinter.
Yeah.
And then this bus has a dishwasher and a washer and dryer. So, I'm not a camper per se. I'm more like camp adjacent. So when other folks are firing up their smoky fire pits and roasting marshmallows, I'm watching Netflix and letting the dishwasher run.
Yeah.
If you want to introduce yourself, it's probably a good place for us to start because we are going to record this for the podcast. So
good morning. Thanks for having me, Stephen. I'm Jeff Schwartzenberg. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at the Outer Banks Visitors Bureau. And I've been in this role now for about 2.5 years. The role is new to the organization. That was created out of the work that went into creating our long-range tourism management plan. And one of the first recommendations was to hire somebody to make sure that this plan doesn't sit on a shelf for the next 10 years. And I was fortunate enough to have a good mix of background skills that they were looking for. I've lived in the Outer Banks community now for almost 12 years and have been in a few roles here where I've been really involved in the community, and the community players were familiar to me, and it just was a great fit. And I absolutely love what I do.
What do you love most about it?
I think it's the collaboration with our partners. It's really a position that, serves a few different purposes. One, again, it's helping to oversee our long-range tourism management plan, which is complex. It's about a 50 or 60-page document. And looking at it, it's very intimidating. And the way we look at it is it needs to be tackled with a sense of accountability, but it also needs to stress patience because things don't happen overnight, especially with a long-range plan like this. So I love that aspect of it, where you're looking at the today, but you're also looking into the future. I also love the fact that I'm a conduit between the Outer Banks Visitors Bureau and so many different stakeholders in our community, from our municipalities to our nonprofits, to our residents, second homeowners, and visitors as well. It's a really wide mix of folks that I interact with on a daily basis. And I love the fact that I'm able to help connect the dots, but also able to project and inspire people to visit the Outer Banks, but also factor in the responsible aspect of what we're really trying to accomplish with our plan.
As you look around your office, which I have to say is one of my favorite colors, that moxie green, that seafoamy green.
I, Admittedly, I'm currently working from my home office. I'll be heading into the office shortly, but we have a little bit of flexibility with our schedules. So I'm currently working from home right now, not in the kind of setup that I see you have behind you, but it'll do.
Well, my office collapsed. When my laptop closes, it gets stored away. Nobody sees it. But as you look around your office, what is something that you truly treasure?
I've been in my office now for about 2 years. You really wouldn't know that I've fully moved in yet because I literally hit the ground running. I need to carve out some time to do a little better job of organizing and decorating. But something that I'm proud of that's waiting to be hung on the wall is a parting gift when I left my position in Nashville, Tennessee with the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum. It's really kind of a photo collage of a lot of the work that I spent time and effort and energy into. Really, a lot of the events when I was there, it was during such an exciting period in the history of the Hall of Fame Museum where downtown Nashville has been growing by leaps and bounds. When I was there, I left in 2014 to move here to the Outer Banks. We worked to more than double the size of the Hall of Fame and Museum. We worked with the Omni Hotel to connect to the hotel, which is across from the new convention center, right in the heart of downtown. So there was a lot of work that went into, and I was on the marketing and PR side at that time of communicating what was about to happen and why it was a historic growth moment for the Hall of Fame Museum. So I do look at that periodically. I'd like to look at it more straight on my wall as opposed to currently on my floor, but in time it'll get up there.
When you were growing up, what did you want to be as an adult?
Professional hockey player.
I
I
see the hockey print behind you over your shoulder.
Yeah, this is our guest room / office. And, it's timely, it being that the men and women just won gold medals at the Olympics, the hockey teams there. I literally remember watching the 1980 Olympics with my parents. And about 2 weeks later, coming home with a Parks and Rec flyer from school, offering up opportunities within our hometown to start learning how to play hockey. And I jumped at that chance and, became hooked. Within a couple of years, I was on travel teams and really traveling around the country, particularly the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, up into Canada. It became such a strong piece of fabric of who I was as a person. And, just like most scenarios in life where you kind of evaluate where you are and where you want to go, playing professionally didn't pan out, but I wanted to take that passion and continue with it, even if it wasn't playing. And I ended up doing an internship. I went to SUNY Binghamton in upstate New York and happened to strategically pair that degree in marketing and management with an internship with the New York Rangers American Hockey League team there. So I went to Binghamton to play hockey, but I ended up working more on the business side of it. I figured, look, if I can't go down one path, this is the next best path to take. I've always believed in following your passions and doing something with your life that you enjoy and it doesn't feel like work. I've done that. I laid that into a 10-year career at Madison Square Garden with the New York Rangers after graduating. I feel the same way about the travel and tourism industry. Working in sports, there are so many benefits, but it's a big grind as well from a scheduling standpoint and a commitment standpoint. I reached that stage of my career where I was married. I met my wife working at the Rangers, which was pretty cool. But I was ready for something new and landed a great position with Travelocity in their New York City office. As I was looking at other opportunities, trying to figure out what am I passionate about? What would drive me to have that same level of engagement at work as I currently do. Travel and tourism was something that I thought I would have that passion for and certainly do.
What is the most kind thing someone has done for you?
My wife is a breast cancer survivor. So I think going through that process with her and just the outpouring of support from family and friends near and far is probably what stands out. You never know the cards that you're going to be dealt in life. And when something like that happens, it's a gut punch to that person and their family. And just the show of support, again, near and far, people checking in, Even today, checking in to see, hey, how's Jen doing? I think from that standpoint, our community here in the Outer Banks is small but mighty. We'd only lived here for about 5 or 6 years into that diagnosis, and the support and the kindness that the community showed to her was remarkable. Something we'll never forget.
You mentioned you have a 14-year-old. How is she most like you?
I think she's most like me. She's very driven. I think she gets that from both myself and my wife. She's very competitive, but I also think that outside of that, she appreciates people, and I think she appreciates opportunity. And while she doesn't always show it as a 14-year-old, I think that appreciation is something that she gets from us. We pride ourselves on being committed to our friends, to our family, doing the right thing when people aren't looking. And I think when she sees us doing that, hopefully she's gathering those nuggets. I know she is. And hopefully we're setting a good example for her. But I'd say committed, dedicated, hard worker, but also she's just a genuinely good person, great to interact with. And she's got a lot of love in her heart.
What's your favorite quote?
Well, I'm a big Jimmy Buffett fan. I'm a big parrot head. And unfortunately, with his passing, there's a lot of things that we won't be able to do surrounding his concerts, even taking our daughter to concerts. She's been going to Buffett shows with us since she was probably 3 or 4. I don't know if this quote's directly attributed to him, but something I've heard him say and I've read is, when life gives you limes, make margaritas. So I cherish that because I think it's a way that he's obviously saying, hey, when things aren't going your way, look on the bright side. I also think it's his creative way of saying, don't take yourself too seriously all the time. Have fun with life, make the most of it. And hey, when someone throws you a lime, there's something you can make out of it. Enjoy a margarita. Have some fun with your life.
One of the things that I find a lot of the folks that I get to talk to podcast is a love for learning. And I think it's something that we share with travelers, in that the traveler learns from us when they're visiting us, and we learn from them. What's something you'd like to learn this year? Before we dive back in, a quick word from our sponsor, Learn Tourism, the nonprofit academy, where we're dedicated to transforming the tourism industry with 4 key services: our cutting-edge learning experience platform, which offers robust analytics and seamless updates; our custom course development, which ensures tailored learning solutions; subject matter experts who provide deep insights and valuable knowledge; and of course, our engaging speakers who are here to inspire and educate with impactful presentations. Discover how we can elevate your tourism education at learntourism.org.
Well, as we continue down the path of trying to engage more with our residents and our visitors and our second homeowners, I think it's just the opportunity to connect with them and hear about how the balance for, say, a resident of quality of life equates to or kind of parallels to a quality of visitor experience for a visitor. I think having those discussions and finding those venues and those forums to have those discussions is key. In a role like mine, where I'm out there communicating quite a bit with community stakeholders, I often have to remind myself that I need to be understanding what the pain points are, what we're doing well, and taking that and being able to apply that, bring it back to our staff, long-range planning, special committee, and having a finger on the pulse and being a good listener is as important, if not more, than me being out there communicating what we're doing and advocating for what we're doing. I think that's what I'd like to continue to learn, is just what people want to see, how they view the Outer Banks Visitors Bureau and our role, not only in tourism, but in our community. We've fully leaned into trying to really kind of gain as much knowledge and information and feedback from our residents as possible. We can be doing a much better job of doing that more frequently. surveying, things like that. Yeah, I think if you live in a place where you're proud to live, in a community where you're proud to live, and you understand the benefits that tourism brings, as well as acknowledge you know, the not so great things that it sometimes brings to a community, there's positive and negative impacts that it has. But if you can understand, and again, like us, we're trying to help people see and find that balance. And we're trying to find that balance as a community, as a bureau. I think that the benefits far outweigh the negative impacts. And yeah, I think people are proud of where they live. I know there's a lot of pride here on the Outer Banks. Again, it's a small community. We're about 37,000 full-time residents. That number swells to about 250,000 or more folks here on our long stretch of beach, not so wide in certain points. Well, how'd you get here? Well, I used to visit and I fell in love with it. I think people have that mindset to understand the impact of tourism, even though sometimes memories can be short and frustrations can grow. I think a lot of us here, myself included, who visited over the years and ultimately got here as fast as we could to settle down, I think it leaves a mark for sure.
What is your favorite travel memory?
Favorite travel memory would probably be, I remember growing up as a kid, we did a lot of road trips, driving to Florida. We'd occasionally fly upstate New York, Washington, D.C. Again, growing up in New York, we kind of were able to get out and about in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic quite a bit. But my first true memory of traveling abroad into another country was going to Jamaica with my family. I was probably about 10, 11 years old. And it was such a great experience of being out of the country and just learning a completely different culture, taking part in some of the activities there, just gorgeous scenery. I'd say that was my first great memory of traveling. Our honeymoon was fantastic. Got married on a vineyard in the North Fork of Long Island, continued that wine theme to Sonoma and Napa for a few days before going to Maui and Kauai for about a week and a half. So that's probably my most memorable, just because I was able to appreciate it and go somewhere that we'd never been to Hawaii before. I'm not a great flyer, admittedly, so we broke the trip up to kind of not being on a plane for 12 straight hours, but trying to get over that, wouldn't call it a fear of flying, but just uneasiness. I've never been to Europe, so that's certainly a bucket list item for me. Yeah, those are some key memories early on for sure.
Do you take all of your vacation time?
We have a kind of a flexible PTO opportunity with how it's structured. I would say between vacations and factoring in my daughter's golf travel that she does around North Carolina, Mid-Atlantic and Southeast, I certainly get away enough. Work conferences keep me busy certain parts of the year. Right now, our big focus is traveling with our daughter. She's a freshman in high school, so trying to enjoy that time with her because we're going to blink and she's going to be off doing other things. We don't bankroll it too much. We really do take advantage of the time that we've accumulated and try to get out there and enjoy time together.
What have I not asked that you think I should?
You've certainly hit a lot of important things with me. I can't really think of many other things. You're great at kind of bouncing around from topic to topic, but with common threads. I'm impressed by that for sure.
If you were to describe your community, the Outer Banks, in one word, what would it be?
I would say inspiring. We are the land of beginnings, from the first English settlement to the Wright brothers, first powered flight. We've got the first national seashore in the U.S., Cape Hatteras National Seashore. We have 3 national parks. We have an amazing state park, which is the tallest natural sand dune on the East Coast. We have 2 wildlife refuges. I think it's inspiring from that standpoint historically, but I think just the natural beauty that we have here is inspiring to people. It's why tourism is the number 1 economic driver of our community. We're blessed to live where we do, to have that natural environment. I would say inspiring is probably the word that comes to mind.
What would you like to ask me?
How would I eventually get a cool setup like you have and be able to travel around the U.S. and experience life in different parts of the country. You asked me earlier about the favorite trip I've taken. Another bucket list thing outside of going to Europe is I would truly love to see more of our country here. I've had the chance to do that on many occasions, especially like the Midwest, the Northwest, Southwest. I've spent periods of time in Arizona and a trip to Seattle for work, but there is so much between the coasts here to see. And I would truly love at some point to be able to do that.
It started with me looking around my 2,500 square foot house. It was me and a dog. And thinking, I just don't need all this. I just don't need it all. And there was sort of another aha moment there, in that everything that you carry around with you, whether it be the physical stuff in your house or the emotional baggage that we all have, it has weight and it rests on your shoulders and it weighs you down. I sold the house and everything in it so I could explore. One of my favorite quotes is Toni Morrison: if you want to fly, you got to give up the stuff that weighs you down. So when I took off on that road trip, I didn't know how long I was going to be gone. I thought maybe 6 months, and it's 4 years later. I've spent 3 winters in Mexico. I've crossed Canada. I've visited a lot of the national parks. I've spent time in the West. I've spent time on Native American reservations. I've gone oyster harvesting in Prince Edward Island and crawfish harvesting in Louisiana and taken art classes here and there. Those experiences are more enriching to me than the snow globes that you collect along the way. So
Yeah. Talk about hands-on.
how do you do it? You have to decide what is the weight that you want to carry. And when you decide what that weight is, it's very easy to let go of the things that don't have.
Yeah, that's really well said. I mean, I think talk about just the opportunity to learn about yourself, about the areas that you're visiting. What better way than just really kind of be entrenched in that community? So how often do you typically stay in a location? How often are you moving versus exploring in one spot?
Hence, my niece, like I said, is with me full time. So we have an experiential curriculum for her in her school. And that gives us 1 day a week at least to play tourist, a day to travel, a day to rest. And then we have 4 days of full-time work with school and work. So if I'm in a rush to get someplace, I'll do 3 or 4 days in a destination on the way there. If I find myself someplace that just feels cool and it just is so comfortable, I've stayed, 3 months in a spot or 5 weeks in a spot because it just was comfortable. It was a nice place to be. There are other places where I'm like, oh, okay, I could see myself going back here and spending a few months at a time here and there. And there are places where I'm like, you couldn't pay me to get back there. But the key is to remain flexible and nimble.
I know you're supposed
Don't
to be
get
in Plan
married
B,
to
but
your schedule.
I know you're trying to get deeper into my background, but so how far out do you plan your next stop?
So when I started, I had a 21-foot Sprinter van. I would plan 3 or 4 months in advance. I stopped doing that after 3 months because that just builds in anxiety about where you have to be and when you have to be there. Do you have a reservation? Forget all that. Like, it'll all work out. You just have to have faith that it's all going to work out. It may not work out the way you planned it or the way you thought it would or the way that you think would be ideal, but if you just roll with it, every day is an adventure. Some days are more learning experiences than others, but it's all part of the adventure. But now that I'm in a 40-something foot long bus and I tow a Jeep, I'm planned about 6 weeks in advance now.
That's cool. The long and winding road.
Yeah, it's
One of
an
my Beatles
adventure.
songs, but I kind of look at that with my career too. I mean, it's starting out in sports and transitioning to a career with Travelocity and then leaving everything we had and pretty much everyone we knew in New York, moving to Nashville, Tennessee, where we knew literally one couple, having some great experiences there. And then our daughter being born there, living there for about 8 years. And then, moving to a place where we had a history here, my wife vacationing to the Outer Banks and, leaving a lot behind in Nashville, great jobs, a community that supported us, a birthplace of, where our daughter was born, but the opportunity to get closer to family. My wife's parents retired here. My parents have since retired here. So it's definitely been a long, winding road, not in a van, but career-wise and just personally, it's been a fun journey. I think we've kind of found our home here, both professionally and personally. It's a place that we love. It's a great place to raise a family. And again, it's inspiring to be here. Just people will walk on the beach, whether it's in the middle of summer or 35 degrees out and blowing 30 miles an hour, you can clear your head. And I will say I'm ready for spring. We had some snow again here this year. And yeah, second straight year we've had snow, which is kind of a rare occurrence. Not just a dusting, a good, 6 to 10 inches a couple weeks ago. Certainly ready for spring and kind of rebirth and regrowth and people kind of coming out of the woodwork to, again, kick off the tourism season here. And yeah, it's just a great place to live.
What advice would you have for somebody that's getting started in their career?
I would definitely say just figure out what you're passionate about and follow that, whatever that might be, whether it's sports, whether it's medicine, whether it's helping others. Find what you're passionate about. And again, if you can find a career, I tell that to my daughter as well. We had that conversation recently. She wants to play golf in school, but she also wants to work in the medical field in some capacity. She's 14 years old. How would she possibly know at this point in her life what she wants her college major to be? It's way too early for that, but it's not too early to identify what she's passionate about. We've kind of helped outline some things for her and open her eyes to that. She's really into fitness and well-being, something you're passionate about now, working out and eating healthy and cooking healthy and living a healthy lifestyle. Maybe that's your path to pursue. Find what you're passionate about and lean into it would be my greatest piece of advice.
Well, I appreciate you joining me here on the podcast. If folks want to learn about visiting the Outer Banks, how would they do so?
Yeah, they can visit outerbanks.org. Again, we've got a tremendous natural resource here. We're a gorgeous coastal community that has so much history and culture here. But outerbanks.org would be the go-to source. And we hope anyone out there listening can pay us a visit, and we'd love to have you here.
Fantastic. So that's the episode. Thanks for tuning in to Business Class. This episode was brought to you by Learn Tourism, the nonprofit academy where we advance the tourism industry with cutting-edge training and sustainable practices. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to visit learntourism.org to learn more about our programs and how you can get involved. Until next time, stay curious, continue learning and making a difference through tourism.